So it's 2023 and almost every TV that is sold has a smart TV function. And compared to the first televisions with smart TV, the functions have even become usable. Some TVs even come with a full Android TV operating system. So why you would even bother buy an expensive streaming device like an Nvidia Shield Pro or an Apple TV? In this first video on this channel we compare the Apple TV with the Nvidia Shield Pro and the Smart TV functions of an LG OLED TV, and I try as best I can to answer the question which streaming device is best for me and do I need one at all. What all streaming devices have in common is the function of subscribing to this channel on YouTube and activating the bell to receive notifications of new videos. Let's take a look at the prices in USA and Europe. The Nvidia Shield Pro with 16 GB memory costs $175 in USA and €184 in Europe. By the Apple TV you have two options, and this is important because there are some reasons. The cheaper version costs $129 in the USA and €169 in Europe. The expensive version costs $149 or €189. So what's the difference? The cheaper version has 64 GB, half the memory of the expensive version, and no Ethernet connection, and if you want your Apple TV to offer support for thread networking, a smart device standard, you'll have to dish out for the more expensive version. Here we are with both packages in front of us. Both are very minimalistic and have a clean look. Let's look at some specs first. On one side we have an Nvidia Tegra X1 Plus processor with 3GB RAM, and on the other Apple's A15 Bionic chip with 4GB RAM. Both devices support a variety of audio and video formats. If you have a Blu-ray collection, you should note that Apple TV does not support DTS or DTS:X codecs as well as True HD pass-through. If you use Apple Music on the Apple TV, you got lossless audio. So let's take them out of the box. I really like both of them by design, and I couldn't say which one I like more in terms of design. Both are minimalist. The Nvidia Shield is a little bit greater but still small, I would say. I'll put the remote aside for now, I'll say more about that later. What else do we have in the packaging? A lot of stuff to read and a power adapter. But where's the HDMI cable? Nothing included, and I have to say, given the prices, I think that's a cheek. You have to buy the right cable yourself. With the amount of cables that are currently being sold, it's not easy to find the right one. So make sure when you're buying that the cable supports high-speed data transfer and HDMI 2.1. If we look at the connections, we'll quickly get through the Apple TV because there aren't that many of them. HDMI 2.1 power and Ethernet connection by the expensive version only. On the Nvidia Shield you also have two USB 3 ports. Let's talk about the remotes of both devices. First about the Shield remote, and I have to say I don't like this remote. This is what bothers me most about the Shield, and it's an important point considering how long you use such a remote. Apart from the cheap material, I seriously wonder who came up with the idea of making the remote control triangular. Sometimes the remote is on the table and I just want to press the volume down or volume up button, which is impossible. On this point Apple makes everything better. This remote control is an example of how to think through a product and develop it with love. The material, the look, everything looks high quality and fits perfectly in the hand. It seems like a small difference, but makes a big difference in everyday life. The only point of criticism for me would be that Apple hasn't built in a function like in the AirTag, so that you could search for the remote with your iPhone. The remote is just small and easily falls through between the sofa, for example, and you search for an unnecessarily long time. Apple has the technology, and in my opinion it's a missed opportunity to make the product even better. And now we come to the reason why such expensive streaming devices are only considered. Smart TVs have gotten better these days and there are plenty of good cheap streaming sticks out there, but if you want a smoother experience, the Nvidia Shield Pro and the Apple TV are great choices. Apps start immediately without delay, and switching between apps works without any problems. Due to Apple's limitations, the Apple TV doesn't make enough use of its performance, while the Shield makes better use of the existing performance thanks to its customization options. Maybe it's subjective, but the Apple TV even feels slightly smoother than the Nvidia Shield in my opinion. Nvidia has an artificial intelligence to improve scaling up to 4K, which does a great job. You can also compare the improvement visually. In most cases, this leads to an improvement in image quality, only rarely to a deterioration. You can adjust the strength of the improvement in the settings. With the Apple TV 4K, you can carry out the color calibration with your iPhone, which leads to a visible improvement in the picture quality. However, keep in mind that these settings are only made on the Apple TV and not on the television. If you play with the PlayStation or Xbox, these settings are useless. Let's talk about gaming. While that's never a selling point for me for a streaming device, because if I wanna play, I use my PlayStation or Xbox, but I think the ability to do it is great. This is where the Shield shows its strength to the full. Sure, Apple Arcade is quite nice and they have some good games too, but there are many more options on the Shield. First, we would have the option of cloud gaming via GeForce Now or the Xbox app. This works surprisingly well provided you have a good internet connection and you have a huge selection from the Steam library. Then there's possibility to play retro games via emulation. This works very well thanks to the power of the Shield. You could say the Shield is an emulation beast. Sure, in theory the Apple TV has at least as much power for emulation, but Apple has full control over the device and won't let it. This is a weakness, but also the great strength of the Apple TV. After Nvidia was able to play to its strength in gaming with the Shield, we are coming to a point where Apple is flexing its muscles, the ecosystem. We can draw a conclusion early on and say that as an Apple user you can't go wrong with the Apple TV and you'll feel right at home. AirPods can be used in the usual Apple comfort, connect directly, and you can use spatial audio. For example, if you want to type something on YouTube or any other app, a keyboard field appears directly on the smartphone and you can type quickly. If you are also watching a movie, a corresponding interface will be displayed on your iPhone. For example, you can pause the film with your iPhone or adjust the volume. Or you can use your iPhone as a remote control. Nvidia also provides many functions in an app, but with Apple everything is integrated in the operating system. With iCloud and the Photos application, you can view your photos right on the Photos app on your TV. I think everyone can agree that the Apple TV scores highly in this area. But let's go from something Apple is good at to something where they fail across the board. In terms of personalization, Android TV on the Shield TV is a dream come true for anyone looking to do more than just stream. Do you want to establish a secure connection via VPN on your Apple TV? Apple doesn't allow it. You want to install an alternative app store? Apple doesn't allow it. You want to customize the operating system interface with the launcher? Apple doesn't allow it. All of this stuff works fine on the Nvidia Shield Pro, and as you can see, the options are very limited on the Apple TV. On the Shield you can install Aptoide as an alternative app store or install a lot of apps you couldn't find in the Google Play Store from Downloader app. This gives you a much larger selection of apps such as Kodi or a variety of IPTV apps. For example, if we take LG Smart TV features as an example, it has to be said that it definitely gets the job done. I have to mention that I don't like the LG remote at all, and the materials don't look very good either. It doesn't feel good in the hand and it's no fun to use in my opinion. But in terms of speed, the operating system is okay, and I didn't find the time in which the app started to be annoying long. Of course, the Shield and the Apple TV offer an even better experience, but that's not bad either. The selection of apps is good, although not every app is available. Similar to Apple, you don't have a lot of customization options. However, some televisions from other manufacturers have Android TV by default, which is why you cannot generalize this point. Okay, finally, what can we say? Do you need an expensive streaming device these days? What you can definitely say is that you won't miss something if you don't know it. So if you have a modern TV with Smart TV function, you are in good hands. Personally, I can no longer imagine television without an Apple TV. And if you want an even smoother and higher quality experience, you can't get past the Nvidia Shield Pro or the Apple TV at the moment. But which one is better? There's a clear answer to the question of which of the two devices is better. If you value customization or gaming, or you have a Blu-ray collection with Plex and want more app choices, the Shield TV is your choice. If you value simplicity, the ecosystem, or performance in general, pick the Apple TV, you get the best remote control too. I hope that this video was helpful and informative, and I would be very happy if you subscribe and activate the notifications. Until the next video, have a good time.